The idea was to fill a paper bag with fresh animal droppings, the fresher, the better, then place it on the victim's doorstep.
There is no way. Is this can't be serious. I don't think this is serious.
Once done, you'd light the bag on fire, knock on the victim's front door, then run to his backyard.
That channel is good. What is this? How to Get Revenge 1989? What is this?
I was just reading
A shot to video how-to documentary source hosted by Linda Blair from 1989. It alternates between her and a small cast of revenge experts entailing different ways to take revenge on someone who has wronged you. These different acts are then reenacted in small vignettes. Such tactics as mailing offensive porn to the home address of someone who wronged you, to stuffing a potato up someone's tailpipe. It's all on the... Wait, what? That's murder, isn't it? It's all on the bizarre side, but quite funny and very left field, late 80s. Not porn of the condom generation, if you will.
a few pages from a fascinating book. It is literally filled with countless pieces of wisdom. One in particular deserves quoting. It reads, "Vengeance is mine." Now that's a powerful quote. And from what book am I reading? The Bible. That's right.
Fucking
the
own.
Bible. Now let me ask you a personal question. At some time in your life, has someone ever made you so angry, so upset, that you considered some form of retribution, some form of revenge? Of course you have. You wouldn't be human unless you did. Revenge is a natural emotion. The only problem is that we are all raised to consider revenge as being juvenile, immature. Society does not condone such lewd displays of conduct, at least not openly. And that is why we are here. Hi, I'm Linda Blair, welcoming you to How to Get Revenge. During this program, you are going to become quite literally an expert in the field of revenge. Now, when I talk about revenge, I'm not talking about bodily injury to anybody. I mean, that is definitely not our purpose here. Our aim is to simply inform you of the options you have to make that person experience the same humiliation, the same mental anguish that they inflicted on you. You are going to learn dozens of tricks of the trade from some of the top experts in the field, including private investigators, former police officers, and other virtuosos of vindication. You will also discover invaluable techniques of retribution, some simple, some more elaborate, but all designed to obtain the goals you desire.
How do you get a job that... What the fuck, bro? Yo, you should take revenge on your barber, dog. Like, honestly, if this is the haircut that you're rocking with, I don't trust that you're a revenge expert, okay? Because honestly, your barber is the one who did revenge on you, okay? What the fuck is this, dude? Unless he's a victim and he's out here being like... He's a victim and he's like, I need to take revenge on my barber. Please explain to me how I can do this, Linda.
And you will also see and hear fascinating stories from people just like you who were at one time victimized, yet came back to achieve the ultimate revenge. Let's face it, revenge can be sweet, especially when it's against someone who really deserves it. And I'm sure we all know a few of those, right? Former friends, lovers, business associates, family members. The list is virtually limitless. And you know what? We all practice revenge on a daily basis, and we don't even realize it.
I'm going to do it normal speed. I don't like that it's fast.
Have you ever tried to change lanes on the freeway, but the idiot in the other lane won't let you?
Yeah, you! Woo! Come on! Yeah, you!
So what do you do to get even?
Kill
Well,
them.
when he tries to merge into your lane, you block him out. Now you've had your revenge.
What if he's not?
Ever since childhood, we've been practicing some form of revenge. Remember as a kid, ordering a pizza by telephone and having it delivered to another kid's house that you disliked? Sound familiar? Or maybe you remember this classic bit of adolescent revenge. The idea was to fill a paper bag with fresh animal droppings, the fresher, the better, then place it on the victim's doorstep.
There is no way. Is this can't be serious. I don't think this is serious. What the fuck? Bro, this is crazy.
Once done, you'd light the bag on fire,
Knock on the victim's front door, then run to his backyard.
then when the victim arrived, usually the neighborhood grouch, he'd have no choice but to put out the fire. Meanwhile, you'd run to the victim's back door and begin pounding on it. This would cause the startled victim to run back through his home, soiling his fine shag carpeting with animal droppings while you've made your clean exit. Fasten your seatbelts, for now it's time for us to explore the more serious forms of revenge.
Why she say
We've
it like
assembled
that?
several of the top professionals in the field of revenge to guide us through this endeavor. First off, we're going to meet private investigator Mark Lewis. Mr. Lewis has aided hundreds of victims in getting even and is considered a master in automobile retribution. Next up is investigator Kyle Pappenfuss.
Bro, these guys have they're specialists. Like, he's got like, they have like specialties. Automobile retribution, what the fuck?
Will give us pointers on how to cause havoc with a Mark's home. We'll also hear from a presently active police detective who we'll refer to as JM. He will enlighten us with his vast knowledge of seeking revenge by mail. And then there's Officer PF, another presently active police officer who will show us the many ways your telephone can cause tremendous damage to your enemy. But first, let's begin with private investigator Quinn Vickers. Mr. Vickers specializes in getting even with former friends and lovers. Mr. Vickers, could you give us an example of what could be done to a former friend or lover?
Few examples, huh? Okay, let's talk about friends. I had this client whose best friend came to him and talked him into investing in a real estate scam. $10,000 talking. He promised my client that he'd get a 75% return on his money within 3 months. And being that they were good friends, well, my client didn't think that his friend would screw him. Well, he sure did. And the worst thing that happened was that when he found out that his so-called friend had made approximately $3,500 on the deal, and that's when my client first came to me.
What did you have him immediately do?
Immediately, nothing. Not a damn thing. You see, the secret with revenge is patience. Patience. If he were to act right away, his so-called friend would have caught on, and he would have called the authorities or done something in return to my client. And that would have meant he won again, and my client loses again. So you wait. In this case, I waited a couple of months. Then I hit him on several levels. First of all, I took a death certificate, whited out the former information, filled in his name there, and along with a letter stating that I was his wife, I sent the death certificate and the letter off to the Bureau of Internal Revenue and the Social Security Office. Next year comes tax time, he's screwed with the Internal Revenue. Down the road a ways, when he wants to change jobs, he's screwed again. And way down the road, when he finally wants to collect, no Social Security benefits.
Hit him in the pocketbook, eh?
Better yet, hit him while he's down.
Yeah, man, just do fraud, which is like very illegal. That's cool. Yeah, just do something that will definitely put you in a federal prison.
After all, my client wasn't the heavy here. He was just trying to even up the score. Next, I made appointments for this punk with several professionals, doctors, lawyers, dentists, you name it. And I'm talking dozens here. So when he doesn't show up, he's got a lot of pissed off professionals. Not only that, several of them, as you may well know, will bill him for not showing up.
Ouch. I'd sure hate to be him.
Yeah, so would I. But remember what the Bible says, an eye for an eye. Remember, this guy did my client in. Okay, then I finally topped off the whole escapade by severing his marriage. This took a little work, but it was worth it.
There's more to the eye for an eye, man.
For several evenings, I waited outside of his home and watched to see if he'd leave home at night and at what time. Eventually he did, and I noted on what day and what time. I then waited until he returned and made note of that time. Once I had proof of one of his evening treks away from home, I purchased an inexpensive woman's shoe from a local store. I then wrapped it in a small box. Then, using the letterhead of a local hotel, which is free, available in most hotel lobbies or rooms, I typed a letter saying the following: Dear Mr. and Mrs., and I put their last name in there. When the two of you were here on the evening of, and I put the date the man left home, your wife forgot her shoe. Here it is. We'd appreciate the return of $2.50 for postage. Thank you. The management of, and I typed in the hotel's name. Anyhow, to make a long story short, the upshot of the downshot is that his wife finally files for divorce. He has to sell the home, the cars, the stocks, everything. I guess you could say my client finally came out on top.
Boy, I'd have to agree.
What
Imagine
the
that,
fuck?
breaking up a marriage to the U.S.
Okay, that part is at least not illegal. I mean, it's really fucked up, and it probably should be, but not illegal.
Amazing. But what's even more amazing is the many other ways that you can use the post office in a vengeful manner. And to give us a few examples is Detective J.M. Detective, could you give us some examples of revenge by mail?
Revenge by mail is only limited by the person's imagination. For the most part, the examples I'm about to give are ones I've learned while on
Or morality.
the job. Although I must admit a couple of them are my own creations. But let's get to it. One of my favorite pranks is very simple, but very effective. It can be a real pain in the...
One of my clients, Theodore Kaczynski, was fucked over by Harvard University. So we got together and figured out the most effective prank.
But what you do is go down to your local post office, get a change of address form, fill in the victim's name and address, and the new address. It can be anywhere your heart desires, from around the block to around the world. And if he also receives gifts or valuable items in the mail, I suggest making the local Salvation Army as the new address, or any other place which might benefit from such items. Another way to create havoc and also make your victims shell out money is to look through magazines and catalogs. There are a lot of expensive items in there that can be bought now and paid for later. So order as many expensive items as you can and mail it to your victim's address. Another thing to do is to join these Book of the Month clubs, Record of the Month clubs, or whatever of the month clubs. Ever try to get off one of those lists? Can you imagine being in 10 of those lists?
I'd like to play a little game with you, if that's all right. I'll give you a situation, and then I'd like you to respond with a method of mail revenge that you would recommend.
Okay, shoot.
Let's say the Mark is a family man. You know, a wife, 2 kids, a dog. What can you do to disrupt the entire family as opposed to just the Mark?
Put them on offensive mailing lists. Pornographic mailing lists such as pornographic magazines, pornographic merchandise. Put them on the Communist Party's mailing list. There are hundreds of...
Yo, he said porn and communism. You know, the two most offensive things I can think of at this very moment for a family man. Porn and like the PSL's newsletter. Yeah, subscribe them to twitch.tv/HasanAbi.
mailing lists you can put them on. What husband wants his kids looking at this stuff? And, for that matter, what husband wants his wife thinking that he subscribes to these lists? Another thing you can do is send your Mark's wife a pretty box of chocolates. And a note saying how much he loves her and all like that. It's one of my favorites.
I'm confused. How can sending a box of chocolates and a nice note to the Mark's wife get him in trouble?
Did I forget to mention mixing chocolate laxatives in with the candy?
I guess
What?
you did.
Yo, he said poison your Mark's wife. Poison them. That's crazy. That's cool. He's just, maybe he did work with the Unabomber.
Good. Well, that ought to flesh out the situation. Okay. How about if your Mark is a businessman?
Send the sexually perverted magazines right to his office. Can you imagine the looks he'll get when he gets his stuff right on the job? These bizarre toys and sexually perverted magazines? Should be quite a thrill. By the way, there are dozens upon dozens of homosexual and bisexual magazines available today. I found if you mail these to the Mark's place of work, you can start rumors or quickly get him fired. And if you can get a photo of the Mark, it's even better. Send that to a gay magazine along with the requisite money and place an ad for a gay lover. Then when the copy comes out with his picture and the ad in it, send that to his boss, his wife, or his girlfriend.
Damn, they had bi visibility even in the 80s, dog. That's crazy. Now bisexuals are demanding bi invisibility. Fucked up.
Fascinating. Well, how about if you have a bone to pick with your neighbor?
Try this. Get some printed invitations made up, announcing a Sunday afternoon brunch to your neighbors, announcing the date, the time, the directions, the whole enchilada. The fancier the invitation, the better. Mail it to his people at work, all the neighbors. Then sit back and watch the hassles begin.
Not that I want to know, but how can you ruin someone's marriage or love relationship?
Here's what I learned years ago. If the Mark is a man, just type a letter up saying, "Dear Deborah, my name is," and put the Mark's name there. "I saw your ad in Swingers Bazaar this last week, and I'm hot to trot. I'm anxious to get it on. But you can't reach me by phone because I'm married. But you can reach me at the address on the envelope, but mark it personal so my wife doesn't see it. Put that letter in an envelope marked Deborah Lawson, care of Bazaar Swingers ad, Box 1268A, Charleville, Arizona." Of course, there is no such address, so the post office will return to the Mark's home. And sooner or later, the Mark's girlfriend or wife is bound to discover it. And then the fireworks begin.
What else can you send in the mail that will irritate your victim?
Things that smell. I mean, things that really stink. I mean, animal droppings, human droppings, overripened fruit and vegetables, fish. Imagine what a week-old fish smells like. It smells like Boston in the summertime.
Well, Detective, thank you very much for your suggestions.
Now, you're welcome. Oh, by the way, when do I get paid for this?
Ah, don't worry. The check's in the mail. Now let's rejoin investigator Quinn Vickers, who has a visitor with...
I wouldn't be so cocky if I were you. You're about to be signed up to some communist magazines. You know what I mean?
Wherever there's love and romance, there's also pain and deceit. Approximately 75% of my clients come to me with problems in their love life. Belinda here was one of them. Belinda, why don't you tell them about it?
Well, a couple of years ago, I was going to college to become a nurse. And
Surviving
I did
edged
not
weapons?
think myself as very attractive, was not very popular. And I met this guy at a pep rally. His name was Frank. And we went out, had a good time, and he asked me to go to a game. And later found out that he was the head cheese on the football team, as they put it. So anyways, we went out, we had a good time, had a great time.
Okay, you made a TOS friendly version, but like I feel like it's fake gore. It's not real gore. So why is there actually TOS in it?
Were you happy together?
Yeah, we were very happy together. In fact, we were so happy, I was hoping that he was going to ask me to marry him.
There's real gore?
And then Victoria came along.
Oh.
Let me explain that Victoria was a very popular, attractive girl. She was also the head cheerleader.
I guess she just became attracted to Frank. She started hanging around with us a lot, and I really didn't know what was going on. And she became quite flirtatious. And then I got really hurt. I found out that she was sleeping with Frank. And then I got angry. Really angry. And that's when I called Mr. Vickers.
I make it a point never to get personally involved with my clients, but, well, Belinda here reminded me so much of my daughter that I just had to get involved.
What?
Belinda told me she didn't want to hurt Frank. She felt he was just being victimized by Victoria. So we planned our attack directly at Victoria. The revenge was aimed at her. First thing we found out was that Victoria had dated several guys around campus. An awful lot of them were on the athletic teams on the university. So then I had Belinda set up an appointment at the free clinic for an examination.
Well, this was great because not only did I get a free pelvic, but I also got a free examination. And while I was there, I got a letterhead from the free clinic, at which point I brought it back to Mr. Vickers and he told me what to do.
I had Belinda find out the names of the various athletes on the, well, as a matter of fact, all the athletes on all the sports teams around the university. Then on free clinic stationery, I had her write a letter to each of them. The letter stated that Victoria had been to the free clinic and had tested positive for syphilis, and that each of them were sexual partners in this little peccadillo.
So on Friday, I sent all of the letters to the athletic department at the college, and
pretty sure that's illegal, I think. Like, what was going on in the 80s, man? It was just like crime was legal. Like, people talk about how fucking crime is legal in California or whatever, but like, it turns out in the 80s, it was actually, in the 80s, it was truly legal. Like, they were just like, you could just do whatever you wanted.
on Monday, well, whoa.
It's fake. You got to tell chat this is satire and these are all actors. Well, that ruins everything for me. I mean, yes. I don't think there are real cops with the wife with the wife of the cop not having her face blurred. And the cop himself having his face blurred.
Ooh. Needless to say, the athletic department would have nothing to do with Victoria. None of the students would have nothing to do with Victoria. No one would touch her. No one would talk to her. She was treated like she had the plague, which pleased me to no end.
So tell them what ultimately happened.
Well, after 2 weeks of humiliation, she transferred to another junior college and again became the head cheerleader. And she had her jollies for a while until I again sent the same humiliating letter to the athletic department, at which point there was no more Victoria, and I have no one but Mr. Vickers to thank.
Well, stories like that certainly make my
Okay,
day.
what?
As do the
He says she reminds me of my daughter, who I would want to fuck.
talents of our next guest. His name is Mark Lewis. His occupation, private detective. His specialty, car revenge.
Now, probably a
Okay, I love the concept of revenge being segmented out piece by piece with like car revenge having its own segment is really funny. Where like on the one hand they're like, this is phone revenge, and now we move on to car revenge, which is the revenge of the car variety, like what the IRA used to do.
simplest way to aggravate your mark is to tamper with his tires. And the simplest thing to do here would be to unscrew the valve cap and let the air out. Now, the best thing to do would be all 4 tires. But if you don't have enough time, make sure you do the front tires. That way it's hard to steer and your mark can't drive off that easily.
Now, a lot of people recommend putting glass or nails under the tires, but believe me, for the best results, let the air out yourself.
Now, one thing that every car needs is gas, and this car is no exception. Now, if the situation warrants it, and you need to damage the engine, the best way of doing that is adding some things to the fuel, like
Sugar.
baking flour, sugar, regular granulated sugar, or glue, epoxy. Now, this will certainly damage the engine, cost a lot of money, cost your mark a lot of time, and it will certainly drive your mark crazy. My clients are always asking me for an easy, efficient way of providing their marks with a massive headache. Well, I have just the thing. A locking gas cap. Now, you can buy this gas cap in any auto parts store, a couple of dollars. What you do here is remove the unlocking gas cap and replace it with the locking gas cap. You just screw it on here, turn it, take the key. That's the important thing here. You have to take the key. Then when your mark goes to fill up, he can't get his gas cap off. Provides a massive headache. Come with me. Okay, here's one that dozens of clients have tried, and it really works. Take a can of black spray paint, spray the headlights. That way your mark will not be able to drive at night until he has them
and die. A lot of this just kill the mark, I think. You know what I mean? Just cut the brakes. Like W murder shit, you know what I mean? What the fuck? Oh, this is a W. This is truly a W murder.
Here's a few miscellaneous ideas you might try out in your marks. Sending a letter is a beautiful trick, and it works so simply. All you need is a plain piece of paper, and you cut out the letters from magazine or newspapers, right? You got to say, "Dear so-and-so," the mark's name. "I know what you're up to." Now, if he's like most people, he's got something he's doing that he shouldn't be doing, and he's going to feel guilty, and he's going to wonder who knows about it. And even if he hasn't done anything recently, you're going to drive him up the wall wondering why anybody would send something like this to him. Now, if your mark is a member of the minority, you might turn him over to the Immigration Service. This is going
to... Excuse me, what? He didn't even say... By the way, he didn't even fucking say, like, if your mark is an immigrant. Like an undocumented immigrant. Which would have been fucked up anyway. He just said, if your mark is a minority. Like if your mark is brown, call the INS.
to cause him hours and hours of endless paperwork trying to prove he's a citizen of this country.
This guy bumped into me at the bar, so I had him deported. Prank.
Always keep in mind that a newspaper is a great source for getting even. One of my clients placed an ad in Lamarck's name, advertising that he was going to have a big moving sale. Everything in the house going for 1/5 of its cost. And needless to say, he picked a time, a weekend, when he knew the Mark would be home relaxing, right? The guy was inundated by bargain seekers, ruined his weekend, ruined his life. Another cute trick is to place an ad saying that you are the sucker and you have 50...
Bargain seekers ruined his life. I don't know why I find that such a funny thing to say.
$50,000 that you're open to any and all investment possibilities. And of course, you include the Mark's phone number. Well, needless to say, the phone will be ringing off the hook with all the cuckoo birds out there who have the great investment possibility. You want to make your Mark real paranoid? Listen to what another one of my clients did.
My former boss fired me for no damn reason whatsoever. So I put his name in the obituary column in the newspaper. And making sure that he received it, I mailed it to him with a note saying, "Someone out there is watching you." Then I put an ad in one of those gay magazines and put his name and number, and that worked.
Wait, that's just a death threat. Like, that's not a revenge. That's just a death threat. At what point does it turn around and turn into something entirely separate? This guy's been real adamant about shrimps in the curtain rods. He's been talking about it this whole time. Look at this. The best revenge is to put raw shrimps in the curtain rods at someone's house. The best revenge is to put raw shrimps in the curtain rods at someone's house. What's going on, man? Did you put raw shrimps in the curtain rods of someone's house? Like, what happened? Like, this stuff is fake, man. I don't know why you're revealing what kind of freaky shit you got into.
Worked in several levels. First, it affected his marriage. Then every time that phone rang, I can just see how paranoid he really was. Just jumping out of his seat. Then just think of the cost of him having to change the phone number.
To be fair, the modern equivalent of what this guy's talking about is literally, my boss fired me, so I went to the nearest Walmart and purchased an AR-15 and multiple bullets. You know what I mean? Like, so I guess technically, all things considered, just the death threat situation is like probably a little bit more reasonable, a little bit more appropriate in comparison. It's still not appropriate, but...
And contact all his friends. This guy really deserved it. I enjoyed it.
You know, a newspaper's a great source for revenge. Be inventive. Check it out. You're going to come up with dozens of ideas of your own.
You know, Mr. Vickers is right. You don't have to be an expert to create some wonderful revenge techniques. We've been receiving dozens of letters from people just like you, detailing some delicious bits of revenge. A woman from Fort Worth, Texas writes in telling us how she got even with a former friend who owned a popular vending machine. She stuffed cotton way up into the change return slot.
Wait, what?
This had a twofold effect.
Who owns vending machines? Like, what? That's like oddly specific. That's a very weirdly specific revenge for a very weirdly specific person that has a very weirdly specific problem.
1, it upset a former friend's customers because the machine wouldn't return their change. And 2, when the woman returned a few days later and pulled out the cotton, she hit the jackpot. A man from Tempe, Arizona.
Okay, that's just not even revenge at that point. You're just like taking money from other people. Also, like, you got your money up by what, $2? Sick. To be fair though, $2 back in 1983, you could probably buy a house with that. You know what I mean? You put a down payment on a house.
Owner wrote in saying that his favorite prank is to phone his mark from a payphone, preferably during the day. Then once his mark answers the phone, the man simply leaves the payphone's receiver hanging off the hook, effectively tying up his mark's phone line for hours until the phone company can reconnect his service. Keep those cards and letters coming in, folks. Question.
Wait, what?
Name the location where the average person feels most secure, most comfortable.
That's not how that works. What the fuck? Is that how that works? They can just hang up from the other side. Plus, you didn't put unlimited money in the payphone. Okay, that one is stupid. All the other ones are valid and real and good.
Answer, their home. Naturally. After all, a person's home is their castle, right? The only problem is that none of us have a moat to protect us. Meet private investigator Kyle Pappenfuss. He's about to take us on a tour of what one can do to a mark's home.
All right, first things first. The mailbox. Easy pickings. Everybody has a mailbox, and everybody reaches for their mail. Who says you can't put more than mail in there, huh? How about some pancake batter, motor oil, Jell-O, pudding? Anything can go in there. Just close your eyes and think of something nasty you wouldn't want in.
Literally also a federal crime. For the record. I mean, I don't know. He's like, how about a bomb? It's also a felony to tamper with someone's mailbox, for the record.
In there. Get the picture? Practically every homeowner takes pride in a really beautiful lawn. It's considered part of the pride of ownership of a house. Of course, to me, it's just a gigantic opportunity. You see, a little weed killer in a bottle like this can work wonders on a lawn. See, it not only kills the weeds, it kills the grass. So you can spray this over and make all kinds of designs on somebody's lawn. As a matter of fact, you could even spell out obscene words. In a couple of weeks, when the grass dies, wham! You'll have trouble with the neighbors for the next month. Okay, we're at the front door. If you're really looking for a way to tick off your newfound friend, how about the doorknob, the keyhole? Some nice epoxy glue right in there. This is going to cost them not only aggravation, but money, too. And another nice thing about the front door, most front doors have a mail slot. And you know where mail slots go? The living room. That's right. Now, you only do this if you really want to get back at your newfound friend here. Because a lot of times they put hoses right next to the front door. And you know what you can do with that hose? You can run it right into the mail slot, right there. You turn it on, you split the scene, Captain Happy comes home, and he can paddle his way to the
just an insane amount of water damage.
Telephone. Now, while we're at the front door here, what better way to get to your mark than by leaving a message on that very same door? Say he's got somebody working for him, like a gardener, a pool man, a bottled water guy. You can leave a message for them on there. Like for the pool guy, for instance. Say, drain the pool and give it an acid bath. That's usually a couple of $100. Or better yet, for the gardener.
A couple of $100? What pool is being drained for a couple $100? Damn, dude, 80s was cheap as
Those
fuck.
expensive hedges. Pull them out. Put in pumpkins or palm trees. Or you can get that bottled water guy. Leave a message from the mark saying, hey, stop making nice with my wife. I know what you're doing. I'm on to you. Hey, there's thousands of things you can do with messages. Be creative. Have fun with it. Now, if he has a pool and you can get access to it without anybody seeing you, whew, what a gallon of cooking oil.
This has made me realize white people genetically are terrorists. The suburbs aren't safe.
Wouldn't do for that pool, especially the filtration.
Yeah, but when white people do it, it's called mischief, okay?
System. Hey, and when the swimmers come out, they have this beautiful glowing slime all over them. Now, if your special someone happens to have
After
an
this
air
video, we're going to
conditioning
do my
unit like
birth
this,
chart.
buy yourself a nice little jar of salmon eggs like this. You can get it at any sporting goods store. Open it up. Oh, dump it in the main filter unit. And in a couple of minutes, they're going to think they're living in Newark.
Oh, shit. Newark reference.
Looks like Captain Happy's problems go back a few generations, huh? Well, if you get inside a house like this, here's a couple more things you can do that are fun.
What the fuck? How are you getting inside of your Mark's house? Yeah, if you get inside of a house like that, it's over. You know what I mean?
Firstly, the thermostat. This is a heat thermostat. You want to turn it all the way up on high, especially on a nice hot day. And then you take some glue out, and you pop it right in there so it stays on high. A couple of hours, they're going to have that sauna they've always dreamed of. The kitchen is a limitless source of retribution. One of the neat little things I like to do
Breaking and entering wasn't illegal until 1994. Yeah.
switch the labels on the canned goods. Peas, carrots, onions, with other kinds of canned goods. Things like menudo, corned beef hash, dog food. Imagine the surprise when you open up what you think is a can of salmon and there's nothing.
I'm surprised they haven't like brought up the age-old fuck the Mark's wife technique. You know what I mean?
Finally, here's what my father taught me. Now, if the house has a dishwasher, and these kind of cupcakes usually do, you just open it up, and you get all the good dishes, and you jam them inside, and then you get a packet of dye, just like this, and you stuff it inside. You shut it, you let it mix around, and their whitest china is going to look like a Rorschach test.
Why did they talk like that? What's up with that? Like, why did the people back then talk so weird? Someone explain this to me.
Well, that's it for now, kids. Just remember, trashing your enemies can be a lot of fun.
Thanks, Kyle. And now to wrap things up, let's pay one last visit to our experts as they tell us their favorite act of revenge.
Don't tell my wife. Look, let me tell you my favorite revenge story. Just happened. A friend of mine, a construction worker, just went through an ugly divorce. His wife and he argued constantly over who was going to get the convertible. Well, he lost. And of course, his ex-wife kept rubbing it into him. So I suggested that one night he get a cement truck, which we did. We went over to the house, and there was the car parked in the front with the top down. So what did he do? You pour the cement into the car, right up to the top. I guess you could say that their relationship was cemented, but a little too late.
You know, this may not seem like anything extraordinary, but I like it because it works so smoothly. I like checking the Mark's mail. I take out the bills every day. I do this for a couple of months, even the ones, and especially the ones that are overdue and last notice. The funny part is the Mark won't even notice this is happening until the utility companies turn off his telephone, his gas, his electric, etc. And he'll have a lot of fun listening to those bill collectors pounding down the deadbeat's door.
Deadbeat? You forced him.
I had a buddy once who got a
What if he's paperless? Yeah, not in the 80s, dog.
Did from a house he was renting. What, buddy? It was me. Yeah, and I wanted to get back at this landlord. I wanted to get back bad. And he lived so far away, I thought I'd pull something off real sweet. So I decided to sell his house. That's right. It was really, really simple. All I did was call a real estate agent. Real estate agent comes down to the house. We sign the papers. I tell him, hey, sell it for half of what it's worth. I want to sell now.
Wait, what?
They make the deal. By that time, I'm out the door.
You can't do that. Wait, what? You definitely, that is like, okay, some of this stuff is like, it's not murder, but I mean, they basically are just like doing very obvious, transparent crimes. And like crimes that you can't really pull off either, realistically.
I don't want to talk about what the final result was, but I wonder what happened to that down payment.
So there you have it. I truly hope that you have enjoyed this edition of How to Get Revenge. It has been our pleasure to inform you of the options you have if and when you should find them necessary. It is also our hope that you will never actually have to use any of these methods. Excuse me. Hello?
Yeah, is this Linda Blair?
Yes?
Yeah, Linda, my name is Rick. Listen, I was driving down the street past your house a few minutes ago, and I saw some smoke coming from your house.
Oh my gosh! Oh, well, thank you for calling. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm sorry, I have to go. I hope you had fun. Bye!
Come on, that's the oldest trick in the book. Come on, Linda. What the fuck is wrong with you? You can't believe that. Come on, we just taught you how to fucking con somebody. Damn, bro, this is the longest fucking outro credit sequence of all time. Where are they now? Prison. Where are they now? Dead. State-sanctioned capital punishment. Execution. One of those guys had like 11 bodies, dog. He was like, cut the brake lines from your mark. Murder first degree. Multiple counts.